Everyone, welcome back. We're going to be jumping into chapter 26 of Dune, book 1. As a reminder, if you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. I think I'm one of only a couple YouTube channels that are going through a chapter by chapter analysis here, so you can check those out too, but again, few and far between. So chapter 26 starts with the Baron's perspective. He's kind of just woken up from a nap. He's in these suspenders because he needs those to be able to have mobility. He's awakened by someone called Yakin Nafud. So I do not know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I will call this person Yakin. And he is informing the Baron confidently that Jessica and Paul are dead. Of course, the Baron calls his bluff and says, "Do you have the bodies?" No. It's like, well, then how do you actually know? Although the Baron is pretty sure that they're dead because they went into the sandstorm and one of the Harkonnen ships followed and it actually crashed. So the probability of them being gone is actually really, really high. He then finds out from Yakin that both Keynes and Thufir Hawat, who we learned a little bit more about in the past few chapters, they're both alive and they've been captured. So this intrigues the Baron quite a bit. First, he wants Keynes dead. Yakin argues with him and says, hey, Keynes is kind of tied with the Emperor. This is going to make you look bad. He's like, well, make it look like an accident. And in terms of Thufir Hawat, the Baron is super excited to have him become the Baron's new Mentat or super assassin. So Yakin's also like, well, how are you going to do that? He's loyal to the Atreides. But they both know that Thufir actually thinks that Jessica is the traitor. So the Baron's going to do some mental manipulation to try to get Thufir to get so angry that he's actually going to join the Baron. So I'm kind of excited to see where that plot line goes. That's going to be pretty interesting. So these two guys wrap up their conversation, and then the Baron calls in for his nephew named Rabin. And Rabin's kind of like a baby Baron, almost to the point where he's going to need some of those suspenders to, carry him along as well. The Baron lets Rabin know, hey, you're going to take over Arrakis. Again, I guess Rabin already had been in charge, but since Peter, who was going to take it over, was killed, Rabin is next in line. And the gist of this conversation is the Baron explains to Rabin that he's going to have to squeeze Arrakis for every last penny because he's going to need to pay off the Spacing Guild because it was very, very expensive for him to do this war, bringing all the troops and so forth. So there's a lot more to the chapter in terms of the concerns around the Sardaukar, kind of seeing that the Baron, his actual play is to take over the Emperor or the Empire. So he's moving pieces around and trying to make it look like he, did the Emperor's wishes to basically get rid of the Atreides family. Because the Emperor was worried about the Atreides family, but actually the Emperor probably should be worried about the Harkonnens because the Baron is going to try to take over and eventually make his other nephew, his favorite nephew, Fade Rotha, the supreme overlord of Arrakis. So there's all these different competing things going on, which is pretty interesting. And on top of this, we all know that Paul and Jessica are still in the desert, not dead, and are going to be hanging out with the Fremen. So you have lots and lots of political intrigue. It's actually really interesting. I kind of like these Baron chapters, even though I kind of hate the Baron, but he's designed that way because you get a little bit more of the backstory and the complexity about all these different parties vying for power. So that pretty much does it for this chapter. Again, if you are enjoying the series here, please like, subscribe, and until next time, take care. Bye.